Hello, welcome back to Cracking the Cryptic for today's Friday Crossword Masterclass. It's with me, Mark, instead of Simon, who is AFK for some reason today. Now, this does give me a chance to pay a tribute to Richard Rogan, who was the editor of the Times Crossword, which is, of course, the puzzle we will be attempting in a moment. Richard has edited it for a number of years, and incredibly to me, he died, I think, of a heart attack last weekend, and it's unbelievably sad. I very much consider him my generation. He was only 3 years older than I am, so that's a bit of a shock. And he was absolutely one of the most genial guys you've ever met. So modest and wonderfully intriguing in everything he said. Now, I mean, Richard was a friend of the channel too. We did a puzzle, well, it's still on Patreon, of course, the Times Monthly Club special that I do every month, a really hard puzzle, alternates between, has alternated between Richard and Roger Phillips. And Richard said a puzzle back in September, which actually had a clue that clearly referred to us. I've got it written down here. It was cracking the old cryptic, nothing to mark, applying light to cells. Now, because that crossword is crazy, the 15-letter answer was the fairly complicated word cytophotometric, which only the I suppose biologists might know it. It refers to cells in the eye, I think. And it relies, in fact, on the fact that old is commonly abbreviated to O in crosswords, nothing also to O, and mark to M. So it was as convoluted a clue as you get in that puzzle, but it referred to us, and that's fantastic. I think Richard probably also wrote the clue that once appeared in a Times final, which actually said something about Mark speed solving. So, you know, he was a great guy, and you would never know to meet him that he'd once run a marathon in 2 hours 40, which is unbelievable also. So a very fit guy as well. I mean, it's terribly sad news. He leaves behind a son the same age as mine and his wife. I will say a bit more on my Patreon crossword this month about Richard, and that's from the Times Monthly Club special. Now, if you are missing Simon, don't worry, because today he is posting a solve of yesterday's crossword that he did yesterday on Patreon. So do join us there for that. And I think he will talk about Richard as well, probably. Anyway, very sad news. Want to mention that before we do the puzzle. Unfortunately, with the Times, you never know who has set each individual day's puzzle, and one or two of them, of course, in the next few weeks might be by Richard himself. They will all have been edited by him, though, until whatever stock he had in runs out. So this puzzle we're about to do will have been edited by him. So what I'm going to do, as usual, is go through the puzzle much slower than I normally would, because I'm going to try and explain not only how the clues work, but how I'm thinking about them to some extent. So hopefully you'll benefit from that. Leave some comments. Tell me how my style can improve. That's fine. Maybe I'll have a go at the quick cryptic afterwards at speed. Simon does that as well, I think. So if I remember, jump to the end of the video and you can watch that. Now, let's call up Friday's Times crossword number 28937, edited by Richard Rogan, and let's get cracking. I'm just checking you can see the, okay. So, one across, foxtrot with nimble steps. Well, foxtrot is one of the most rare words in the International Phonetic Alphabet, the radio alphabet, as it were, that it doesn't occur in crosswords much. You do see things like India and Juliet occasionally, or hotel. Actually, hotel regularly. Oscar sometimes. But foxtrot is the letter F. So I'm guessing that how else can that be used in the clue other than to give the letter F at the start of this? Then we need a word for nimble, And the whole answer means steps, because there's always a definition at one end or the other. I don't know the answer to that. Well done if you do. I can't think of a word meaning steps that begins with an F. Something to do with feet or foot. No, it's not going to work in 6 letters. Nimble could be agile. Lithe, flithe. Oh, flight. A flight of steps. Nimble could be light. There we go. Okay, well, you get to watch the full aha moment there. 2 down. The scholarly elements of elite rationalism. Now, elements of is the guide to the wordplay here. We're taking a section of elite rationalism, some of its elements. They are written in order in elite rationalism, and those words begin with the L, those letters begin with the L of elite, and the 8 letters from there that can mean the scholarly are literati. The literati are the well-read people from the Latin. Now, 3 down, beginning with G. Girls of boyish charm and singular spirit. If we think about the literal surface meaning, I'm thinking about tomboys, and there are a few synonyms for those that I don't remember, but I don't think that's what we're looking for. Gamine, is that of boyish charm? I don't know, I can't get to that, so we'll come back to that. Well done if you have it already. 4 down begins with a T. Mischievous book, full of twists. Well, mischievous looks probably like the definition. I don't know, actually. It might be. Book, beginning with T, could be tome. So, yeah, something beginning with T and ending in some. Tricksome. Now, a rick, I think, is a twist. A hay rick is because it's been twisted. And if you rick your neck, you probably twist it. So, tricksome would work, and it would mean mischievous. Now, my only problem here is I don't recognise it as an actual word, but I think that's fairly clear. So, with the very slight reservation that I might have to change letters 2 to 5 there at some point, I'm going to fill it in, and we'll have a look at 9 across. Tom Paine accepts consequence of decay. That's really weird. The first thing I do when I see the words Tom Paine in the clue is assume they're there to provide the letters. And I can actually, thanks to my recent countdown experience, I can make an anagram of Tom Paine that actually fits this space, and that's Tomaine. Ah, okay. I think that is the answer, in fact. So I've got that in a very odd way, just by being suspicious about the words Tom Paine, coming up with an anagram, and it fits with these checking letters. Now, okay, I'm going to explain this clue to you. This is a very unusual clue. This is a semi and lit. I'm pretty sure. So I'm assuming now that Tomaine is something that's left over after something radioactive has partly decayed, or maybe fully decayed. And I don't know that. It's a scientific substance, and I don't know what it means. I would have guessed it was an anesthetic. Ah, no, it's not an anagram. Okay, it's not a semi-and lit. Right, it's just the word Tom that the word Paine accepts. I see. This is one of those unusual grammatic constructions that I don't use. So I was thinking that Tom Paine was being decayed, and the consequence of that was the anagram. That's not what's happening. Tom is being accepted by the word Paine. The fact that, this is a grammatical construction in English. If you say milk Mark drinks, that does, if you said milk Mark drinks smells bad, that is an accepted English sentence construction. And it means exactly the same as this does. Tom that Paine accepts, milk that Mark drinks. And it's just not how you would normally read this sentence. You would read it as a person called Tom Paine who was accepting something, rather than Tom being accepted by Paine. That construction happens quite a lot in the cluing of my friend Serpent, Jason Crampton, so it could well be his puzzle. Anyway, Brahms and Liszt are skint in former homeland. Now, don't go thinking about Middle European composers who... Brahms and Liszt is a fantastic Cockney rhyming slang phrase for drunk because of a word that Liszt rhymes with. It's pissed. And Britons, Cockneys, will actually say, oh my goodness, I was absolutely Brahms and Liszt that night, meaning I was drunk. So here we are going to use Brahms and Liszt as having the meaning drunk, and we're going to use that to suggest the letters of R skint have all got drunk and fuddled. And we're going to delve into our general knowledge of former South African place names and write in Transkei, aren't we? Yeah, that was one of the provinces of South Africa, I think. Well, no, at one point it was one of the provinces of South Africa. I think it may not have been the name for it when I was born, and it may not be the name for it now. And I'm not sure. I may have... South Africans, let me know what I've got wrong about that. I kind of have it along with KwaZulu-Natal as a name of a province and the various other ones in South Africa, but I may be a bit off beam. It's certainly a place name in South Africa. Right, we are back to gamine on this one, aren't we? But I don't know an 8-letter word that begins with gamin. That's very strange. I'm going to have to get that. Well, luckily, we are going to get 2 more checking letters in this if we can solve the clues. Let's have a look at 15 across. I used to think, with this grid, which does occur occasionally in the Times, I used to think surely it would be quicker if you didn't solve 15 across. All its letters are checked. If you could just do all the downs first. But that tends to be a counterproductive plan because this will supply checking letters and that helps solve the others. Right, picks pockets of 2 coppers. I don't know what that means. Dips. A dip was a pickpocket, and to dip is to pickpocket. Now, why is that 2 coppers? D is an old copper coin. The old penny used to have D, and the new penny has P. I don't quite understand. I think that might be dips, but I don't get it. Goodness, this is quite a tough puzzle. Right, 13 across. Try and sanction an Eastern martial art. Martial art looks like the definition to me there. Try could be go, but that doesn't really help. Or stab. Always looking for short synonyms, remember. Sanction could be ban. That's the sort of letter string that would appear in a martial art. Again, not impossible that I don't know the name of this martial art. And I certainly can't think of one that immediately fits that. Oh dear. Okay, let's have a look at the long one. 5 down. Appoint entirely unconventional diplomat. Well, there's not a lot to play with there, but I note that appoint is 7 letters and entirely is 8. Add them together for 15 letters, and we can make an anagram of them due to the word unconventional. That suggests the letters are appearing in an unconventional order, i.e. not the order appoint entirely. And that gives us the fantastic compound word plenipotentiary, which is some sort of ambassador from, I'm going to say, the olden days, from probably the 19th century. A grandiose title for an ambassador or diplomat. Right, 5 across. Sacked head of personnel, sick and old. Right, well, the head of personnel, we get the clue from the check letter, is the letter P. Sick, we need a short synonym, and old, a short synonym, although not quite as short as old itself is, and we get P, ill, aged, and sacked, unlike how a head of personnel would use it, or would avoid it, to mean fired from a job, here it means raided and looted like an old city. pillaged. 6 down, rebellious boy, chopped notch in twig. Well, twig has the other meaning of to grok something or get it, to understand it suddenly. Rebellious boy. I think rebellious might be the definition. The boy could be a lad. I don't really know what's going on there. I'm going to move on. I don't normally waste a lot of time once I can't get a clue instantly or fairly quickly. Place to grow lilac, oddly neglected shrub. Right, well, lilac, oddly neglected, means that you neglect the odd letters out of it. Those are L, L and C letters in positions 1, 3 and 5. That gives you IA. Now a lot of plant names end in IA, and there's normally the name of a famous botanist and then IA. Here we get the clue place to grow for the first 6 letters, and we've got a G, and we know that we're looking for a shrub, and I think gardenia fits the bill, although I wouldn't necessarily recognise one in my garden. Nonetheless, that is the answer. 8 down. Absolutely avoid someone doomed to failure. Ooh, that's a slightly old British English expression, but someone doomed to failure, a goner, is a dead duck, I think. And absolutely can be dead, as in dead straight, and duck can be avoid, as in duck out of a party. And that put together gives us dead duck. 10 across, bones in back and front of arm. Well, a sterna would fit. Yes, and that's right, because, so that's the plural of sternum, obviously an important breastbone. So the bones here are not in the back and the front of the arm, they're right there, but back is stern on a ship. Oops, I've mistyped that. That's why I sometimes don't score the maximum on these crosswords. And the front of arm is the letter A. Canny Katharina perhaps departs. Katharina. You see, now this is... We do say that the Times crossword these days, as in since about 1980, doesn't really depend on lots of classical knowledge. But the first Katharina I thought of was Katharina Witt, the ice skater, from when I was about 20. I have to go a bit further back than that, because the next Katharina I can think of, who might actually be referenced in the clue, is from The Taming of the Shrew by William Shakespeare. So, if Katharina perhaps can be shrew, departs can be abbreviated to the letter D. That is another crossword standard. Both departs and departed can be D, I think referring to death in an obituary. And canny, therefore, is shrewd in this case. So 6 down, twig is latch on. So I had the wrong end of the rebellious. Now, why is that boy chopped notch? Notch, we anagram that. So it is lad, but it's been chopped down to LA. Then we have, no, hang on. If he's been chopped, rebellious. I'm struggling because rebellious ought to be the anagram indicator for notch. Maybe we are... Yeah, boy chopped is LA. Oh no, it's not lad, it's Al, who is uprising. Therefore he's rebellious. I got the wrong boy. I don't love clues that use Al defined as boy, because names change. You often see a lot of Ron and Des and Les in clues as men or boys. I don't hear any boys these days being called Ron and Des and Les. Anyway, try and sanction. Oh, so it ends in ban. Sokoban, that ought to be an Eastern martial art, the art of moving boxes around grids. Try and sanction. There's not enough at the beginning of this clue. That's quite strange. I think we are going to end in ban, but I'm not sure I'm going to know the word. So we'll avoid this possible dips. Let's go over to dismal and ultimately dejected state. Dank. is dismal, I would have thought. I mean, it also means kind of wet and dilapidated, but ultimately dejected. Could be dark, actually. That's also dismal. More likely to be dismal in a way. I'm struggling to... Oh, Ark for Arkansas. That's the state. I was struggling to get a state out of that clue. Right, 17 down. Demoted in caste. Girl leaves India after a month. Okay, I think that is déclassé. So we're using a French word to mean reduced in class. We're using a kind of Asian word for class, demoted in caste. And that ties in with the India. So the month is Dec for December. The girl this time is not an individual name for a girl, it's Lassie. And that is leaving out the letter I, and we get déclassé, which is a very classé clue. Now, 18 down. Parties regularly supporting retrospective gun control. So we saw earlier that regularly, or how was it? Oh no, was it oddly we had earlier? I can't remember, in lilac oddly. But again, that selected the alternate letters. Regularly does much the same job. And parties regularly is therefore giving you either PRIS or ATE. ATE is much more likely. And that is supporting a gun that's retrospective. It's been reversed. And that gun is James Bond's favourite Luger. So control is Luger backwards, and the odd letters, or the even letters in this case, of parties, and that's regulate. 21 across. Toxic element in half of this garlic. Okay, I am lucky, again, with the knowledge that I happen to know that garlic's Latin name, or the garlic genus Latin name, is allium. And given the letters I've already got in this, it doesn't take long, if you know your periodic table, to come up with an element that involves a T at the start and allium. That is thallium, which is made up of half of the word this, th, and this Latin name for garlic, allium, or garlic question mark, because garlic is an example of allium. The kind of purple or white bulbous flowers that my wife loves to grow are also alliums, and they don't smell of garlic, happily. 23 across. Philosopher's follower, removing carbon using hydrostatic pressure. So because this can end in AN, I'm assuming we're looking as a definition at philosopher's follower. And I've thought of Augustine as a word that would fit. No, I'm quite wrong. That's not right. And maybe Augustus wasn't a philosopher. Instead, we need a different philosopher's follower, again ending in AN. We're going to take C away because we're removing carbon. And then the word means using hydrostatic pressure. Well, I didn't know what an artesian well was, but I now know that it uses hydrostatic pressure. I also don't know what a Cartesian believes, except that he's a follower of René Descartes, the philosopher famous for cogito ergo sum, I think, therefore I am. Anyway, that's Cartesian. Minus C for carbon gives us Artesian. Right, 25 across. Old magistrates from home counties turn back. When you do enough crosswords in British papers, you will gradually learn some of the words that fit gaps that are otherwise hard to fill. One of those words is reeve, which can only be described, as far as I know, as a magistrate formally. So an old magistrate. So I think this is reeves. It would be funny if I was wrong, and I'm not absolutely certain I'm right, even though it does fit. But home counties in Britain, again, that is the southeast, SE. Oh yes, and then veer, to turn backwards. SE veer gives us reeves when we back it. So home counties is SE, turn is veer, and there we go. Now, I'm believing 13 across ends in ban, and therefore I'm looking at this immediately, and even before I read the clue, I'm thinking Could it be alabaster? And then when the first word in the clue is gypsum, I don't really need to read the rest, but I will. So the plant behind an experimental facility is simply aster behind a lab. Alabaster and gypsum are words I would never know anything about because I had never dabbled in the arts, unless I had done a lot of crosswords, which I have. And interestingly, alabaster, though a longer word, turns up about 20 times more often in puzzles than gypsum does. So it's obviously got a set of useful letters. Right, 19 across. I haven't looked at this before, but we've got all the alternate letters. However, they could generate or venerate quite a lot of different words. Purchase, scrap of cloth, to plug a dike. Or purchase, okay, the clue reads, obviously, as though we're buying a scrap of cloth to plug a dike. But we have to ignore the actual literal meaning, as always. Purchase can also mean what you get in terms of grip when you're levering something. So leverage, which you may pronounce leverage, looks like it will fit here, and it would be defined by purchase. Now, why? Now again, I have to justify why that is a scrap of cloth to plug a dike, and I'm not sure I can see that. Oh, a levee or a levee, L-E-V-E-E. That is plugged by rag in this. That is fairly straightforward. It's oddly taking me longer by a few seconds than normal to see things. Now, 19 down, beginning with L. Most gorgeous female consumed by desire. So the most there suggests that we want a superlative. Now, what could begin with L and end with est and still fit this space and mean most gorgeous? The first word I thought of was luscious, although that might be kind of slang for most gorgeous, but that's fine. Female is she, desire is lust. There it is, luscious. Now I'm trying to work my way around this corner up to this possible dips answer that I'm very unsure about. 24 across, more sluggish with yen for sugar. Yen can be the letter Y. I don't know what the answer is here. More sluggish, well, just as most in the last clue we looked at suggested a superlative, more suggests a comparative. So we could be looking for something ending T-E-R-Y, meaning sugar, which could be any kind of term for a sweetheart. No, it's not here. Right, more sluggish is flatter. If you feel flatter, you feel less energetic. And sugar in this case is a noun that can mean if you pour on the sugar, you increase the flattery. Green or red ancillary vehicle. That's a very amusingly worded clue. And I don't know, green can be eco or raw. Ancillary vehicle. No, I don't know what we're looking at there. Let's try 20 across. Realise English National Curriculum has changed. Well, English National Curriculum looks like it's desperate to be reduced to its initials, ENC, and then has gets changed. Has looks like just a tiny little auxiliary verb, but it's not. It's the letters that matter. And if we change the letters of has, we get ash. And to realise money from a cheque, perhaps, is to encash it. Okay, now, we've got two very useful ending letters in 15 and 16 down. 16 ends with an A. Let's have a look at that first. Put books on top of ancient organ. Well, ancient again suggests we're looking at a word from old times, like reeves, as we had earlier. And tricksome, probably. But anyway, and plenipotentiary. So, will I know... If it's a musical organ, I probably won't know it, but it could be a bodily organ, and there are lots more names for those. Put books on... oh no, top of ancient might just be the A. I don't know the answer here. We were wondering about dips, so it might begin with a P. Books can be OT for Old Testament, or NT for New Testament, or BB. We had tome earlier for book. Don't know. Let's have a look at 15 down. Fidgets terribly. Swallowing single brandy. Well, surely fidgets is supplying its letters because of terribly. And we've got an F at the end of this. So we need to anagram fidgets. We need to put one more letter into that to get up to 8, and it's single. So that's probably I, although I don't often see that clued as single. But a brandy question mark is one example of a digestif, a drink before a meal. So dips would still work, and I'm still not sure. Green or red, oh, we'd have that P, wouldn't we? Green or red ancillary vehicle now begins with a T. I don't quite know what to do with that either. Ancillary vehicle, what sort of circumstance am I not thinking of? Okay, let's go back to these girls of boyish charm. And singulars, okay, girls of boyish charm. You see, I think that defines gamines. Oh, I see, gamines and S for singular, which is a perfectly good definition from grammars. Gaminess. And that is spirit, if you are game for something. Right, now I'm going to have to come up with the name of this martial art that I don't think I know. Try and sanction. Well, sanction is ban. So try seems to have to provide S something O something O. Tricksome, it wasn't the sum bit that I thought could be wrong, so I think that's okay. Shot, if you have a shot. Oh no, okay, forget ban for sanction. Shot and okay. Try is shot, to sanction is to okay, and then the word an in the clue matters, and we get Shotokan, and I'm very sorry. I should probably know that that's a martial art, but I don't. But it must be right based on the wordplay. And this is a great thing about cryptic crosswords. You get 2 goes at it. If you don't know the defined answer, you have the wordplay. And a good compiler will make the wordplay accessible. And that was just about. Right, picks pockets of 2 coppers. Why is that dips? It means picks pockets. Why can I not see 2 coppers in DIPS? Oh, detective inspector is a copper. PC, police sergeant, can that be abbreviated to PS? It probably can. Okay, fair enough. Right, put books on top of ancient organ. Top of ancient, that's going to be A. Placenta. Place New Testament on top of ancient, and you get placenta. Placenta? I don't know. I've probably spent so long in my life thinking it was a pun on play centre that I have totally failed to know how it's really pronounced. Placenta, I'm going to say that. Green or red ancillary vehicle. Tender. The tender is the coal truck, isn't it? Well, it used to be on the train sets I had. It ran behind the steam engine and it carried the coal. So that would be an ancillary vehicle of sorts. And green can mean tender. Why is it red? Oh, I suppose maybe a fire engine has a red tender along with the water. I don't know. Green can mean tender in the sense of a tenderfoot, who is somebody who is a bit raw in the backwoods. I'm sure that is the right answer, and it's basically a double definition. I'm a little confused by the red ancillary vehicle, and I'm not sure the dictionary is going to tell me what that is, but I'm going to submit this as my answer. Quite a tough puzzle, although doing it with full explanations leaves me not really knowing how long I would have taken. Maybe we will have a look, if this is proved correct, at the There we go. Good job. At the quick solvers, I think Simon does this. So that took Jason over 10 minutes. This is a very hard puzzle, I now understand, which is a relief because I don't know the word Shotokan. There are some pretty obscure stuff here like Ptomaine, Sterner, Transkei, Reeves, even Artesian and Thallium, and they're all just the acrosses. You know, if you can put this together with digestif, placenta, plenipotentiary, it is a difficult puzzle. I'd be interested to know how long that would. If it's taken Jason 10 minutes, it would have taken me much the same time, and that is quite a long time. Now, I did say, and I've remembered, that we might go back and look at the quick cryptic. And if I have a go at this, I'll do this as quick as I can and then explain the answers afterwards, just so you can sort of get an idea of the speed I would try and go at. Bear in mind, the quick cryptic normally has easier clues by a distance than the times cryptic. It's also a slightly smaller puzzle at 13 by 13, but let's have a go. Let's get cracking on this. Right, engross for one across. Singing contest, no, I don't know what that is. Training, that's an anagram, up, one down. Initiative, that's another anagram, and one that annoys me, at 2 down, 3 down. Yes, yes, yes. What a brilliant clue. I don't know what that means. Devil appearing in heaven is revealing. It ought to be a hidden, but it's not. Drums time, that's timpani. Imp is in that. Okay, old plane not keeping, that's crate minus C. One knowing nothing is ignoramus there, it's hidden that time. Innings, presumably, time batting. Winnings minus W. G, after a quake, that's an anagram. Okay, now, yes, 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 must be okay. Okay and I making okay, that's funny. This is a weird one. I don't know what the devil clue is. 12 down, Queen introduced to Geum as a garden part. Well, it must be geranium, it is. 15, seafood. Mussel? It's got to be. Less brought up. Yeah, I see that. Drama in Japan is no, about southern. No can be spelt with an H as well as without. Where to keep things as alternative. Storage. Some seafood to throw over back of trawler mostly. Bother, don't know what that is. It is seafood, I expect. Battlefield object, making blast primarily. Bomb, it is just the first initials. Right, I shout about grit. That I don't know what that is. 8 down, right after prune entry upset. That is entrepreneur. Ah, I did hit an extra key. That's annoying. There we go. Lobster is the lobbed seafood. Establish the extent of moans being expressed. Size. That could have taken ages. I shout about grit. Irritant, I think. Yes, it is. Bananas, that's an anagram. Glycerine. Okay, let's do 5 down. Advancement, Roger, shortly found in Fleet Street. Progress, I think. Not sure. I think it is, but I don't know why. Fluttering insect. Mum shows no sign of hesitation. Moth from mother. Okay, 7 across. Singing contest. Featuring girl with wooden sound, don't know. 10 across. Picture reason for dropping hat. It's a film, isn't it? Reason for dropping coffee. Okay, let's go back to this devil. Appearing in heaven, sky, skimpy. That's fine. That's annoying that took so long. Right, picture reason for dropping coffee. Mug shot. That's very funny. Singing contest. Karaoke. Is that a contest? And this is progress. I don't quite know why. We're going for it. There we go. If it's not progress, that'll serve me right. But it is. Okay, so let's take you through how those 3 minutes 42, not a very good time for me on the quick cryptic, but that's how fast I would normally go through that roughly. So 1 across is hidden in Lavengro's story, engross, to get totally absorbed. 7 across, the singing contest. So Cara is the girl, K-A-R-A, and the sound of oak would give you O-K-E, although it's not sounded that way in the word. I'm never thrilled with these partial homophones. And karaoke is defined here as a singing contest, which I suppose that's how it originated. The contest element has disappeared. So drums was T for time, imp for annoying child, A for A, N, new for N, and 1 for I. Then the reason you've dropped your coffee is because your mug got shot. That's quite an alarming and dramatic reason for dropping your coffee. And a picture is a mug shot. That is a criminal's picture by the police. 11 across, crate minus C for constant is rate. 12 across, bananas is, because it can mean mad, it's the anagram indicator. There, 14 across, another hidden in Signora Mussolini. 16 across is a homophone. That sounds like sighs or moans. And to establish the extent of something is to size it. 17 was winnings minus W for wicket, giving innings. 20 across is or in stage, which is the acting area. 21 across, an anagram. 22 across, some seafood. To throw is to lob. And then stern, the back of the trawler. We had that in the full crossword, mostly. So most of stern. Now, 1 down's an anagram of entertaining. 2 down, an anagram of gumption. 3 down was lovely. That was made up of two two-letter words being defined. Okay, with just in 2 letters, and then I, which means yes, and can be spelled either A-Y or A-Y-E. And then the definition is yes. I don't know whether it's at the beginning or the end of the clue, but that is the longer spelling of okay. Imp in the sky was the difficult one I found at 4 down. Now, advancement Roger shortly found in Fleet Street is Rog, not the letter R, which Roger can sometimes be. Or maybe I'm wrong about that. That was in the old sort of aircraft alphabet. But anyway, this time it's Rog in press. I've understood that now. 6 down was mother without for moth. 8 down was an anagram, R, and the letter R for right. 12 down was Rani being put in Geum. 13 was I rant around grit minus G, which is good. And grit in your shoe would be an irritant, is the point of the definition there. 15 down was a lot of mud gave you MU, most of the letters of mud, and then less was reversed. 18 down, the drama in Japan is no, N-O-H, which can also be spelled N-O because it's just a transliteration of a Japanese word. Nosh can be food, at least in my slang terms. And then 19 down's actually an and lit. Both the full clue defines the answer and it gives all the wordplay because the primary letters of battlefield object making blast are bomb. And that was the Times Quick Cryptic by Joker. I don't know who Joker is, but excellent. And thank you for watching our crossword masterclass today. I hope it helped. Let us know. And Simon's, as I said, got one similarly on Patreon of yesterday's crossword, so it is a different puzzle. And we shall be back with more Sudoku later today and more crosswords next week. Bye for now.